Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Now, if you've seen an influx of heavyweight videos, there's a distinct reason. It's because I'm happy. So I'm happy to work at this level, giving coverage to a division that was for a while forgotten about, right? And I think Joshua-Klitschko was the perfect fight to bring spotlight back to the heavyweight division. There's been some other good fights or decent fights or even fights that failed to live up to expectations. To me, I take nothing away from Tyson Fury's win over Klitschko, but to me the fight clearly didn't do what the Joshua-Klitschko fight did in terms of gain that notoriety and that appeal, no matter if you're a hardcore sweet science boxing fan lover or if you're a casual fan. I just don't think that fight did that, you know what I mean? In terms of Klitschko, some people say he's been boring. I think we have to forget about those sentiments. You can say whatever fight in the past was boring, but his most current fight wasn't boring. You know what I mean? He's had some pretty, I think the Kubrat Pulev fight, that was entertaining to me, Bryant Jennings, but this Joshua-Klitschko delivered everything. It delivered on all fronts. You had action, you had strategy, you had jabs and like skill and game plan, a battle of wills. And even in some spots, you had a war of words in the ring. I heard Joshua, I can't really hear what he's saying. He wasn't mic'd up, but he later revealed he was saying something like, oh, I'm going to get you. Wait, next round, I'm going to knock you out. And you've seen some banter, some chatter in between the fights, right? And I knew what I was witnessing was epic and a great occurrence for the heavyweight division and just boxing as a whole. And the numbers are showing that. So the numbers came back with a little bit of ego numbers. I know you guys like the numbers, so I got to give you the numbers. This is my first time like talking to them, and it looks like enough of the numbers have come back to the point where I can just do one video instead of saying, oh, the HBO numbers were this, the Showtime. I can just do it all in one fell swoop. Now, Eddie Hearn, he told BBC that the fight was purchased by over 1.5 million homes in the UK. This was, in the UK, a Skysports pay-per-view, right? That is great. Those are Mayweather US numbers when he was fighting guys like Shane Mosley and Miguel Cotto. So you got to put that in perspective. Mayweather, obviously a cash cow. He's been in the headlines and been a prominent name for 2 decades. Even when he was fighting Cotto, he had went from one nickname to another. He was Pretty Boy, then he went to Money May by the time he fought Cotto, and the Cotto fight was right around there, 1.4 million. But the biggest difference that I see is America is a lot larger than the UK. I don't know off the top of my head, maybe I can find out for you guys, but the population, I'm just on a simple Google search. So, according to Google, the latest in 2015, or I guess in 2015 is when the poll was done, the poll is showing 321.4 million in 2015. So, 321.5 million people, 321.4, right? And at that time, the UK was showing 65.14 million, right? So, this lends credence to the fact that it goes without saying. I mean, I didn't need these statistics to show me this, but UK fans are loyal as fuck, and they support their own, they support their fighter, they support the sport of boxing, which is phenomenal. Because you look at, I mean, just from that metric right there, the US having, let's say we'll round down, 320 million, right? And the UK having 65 million. That's like 5 times greater, you know what I mean? A little bit over 5 times greater of a population, and they're doing Mayweather Cotto type numbers, Mayweather Mosley type numbers in a smaller region. Phenomenal fans, phenomenal. And I used to live in England. I can't wait to go back because the energy. I mean, even guys like American guys like Ken and Briggs, they were all for him. They're all about it. Yeah, let's go, champ. Great fans, right? I was at the Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz rematch in Vegas. Irish fans came out. You know what I mean? You see Conor McGregor making a name in the States, and the fans are loyal, waving flags and until they're painting their whole bodies and stuff. You know what I mean? They're taking this serious. It's just like, it's kind of like some regions like Argentina or whatever for soccer. You know what I mean? The fans are really about that life. They'll collapse a stadium, you know what I mean, fighting and rioting with rival teams and stuff. And it's good to see that from the UK. Not the violence, but it's good to see that type of support with their fighters. 1.5 million, right? That's really good. That's really good numbers for pay-per-view, because I don't know the price on the UK pay-per-view, but it doesn't matter. 1 million and change, 1.5 million people like forked out the money out of their bank accounts, out of their wallets, their purses for this sport. So that's great. And this is it's a marked improvement from Joshua's last 3 Skysports pay-per-views, like the Molinas and fights like that. He was only doing roughly like 300,000, maybe 300 and change in pay-per-view, which is cool, but this is 1.2 million higher than that. So I said this before in the past video, I guess I'll reiterate it. I feel in the sport of boxing, this is really not rocket science. If you put the best, most compelling matches with the proper build-up, you know what I mean, the behind the gloves, face-offs, and little behind the scenes series, and promote it right, and these are the matches that the fans are requesting and asking for, it goes without saying the viewership and the pay-per-view buys and all the numbers and the percentage of money that the fighters are going to get from the pay-per-view revenue, all of that increases exponentially. It is what it is. Like if Canelo fights Liam Smith, you're gonna get Canelo versus Liam Smith numbers, because Americans haven't really heard of Liam Smith like that. You know what I mean? People in Mexico probably haven't really heard of Liam Smith like that. He's a name that's kind of relegated to the UK, hadn't really had a breakout performance. You're gonna get those type of numbers. You put Canelo in there with Gennady Golovkin, you're gonna get better numbers. Not that Golovkin is the biggest star, but it's a fight people want, and that's what it goes down to. It's a fight where some people think Canelo stands a chance to win, and some people think he stands a chance to lose, right? So it's not rocket science here with boxing. And 2017, I'm not trying to make it like this is a bad year. This is a great year for boxing, but the sooner all promoters, right, all fighters and everybody comes to the table and realizes you put the best matches that the fans want, you get the best results. And that goes without saying, man. It reminds me of like English. I've always been real good. I've always got good grades and stuff, you know what I mean? Even when I was like joking around, class clown and stuff, I got good grades. And English was one of those subjects where I did really, really well. And I could wait until the last minute, literally the night before in like high school and stuff. I would wait the night before and write a paper, a 6-7 page paper or whatever the assignment was. I would wait the night before, and then I'd stay up all late and I'm all tired at school the next day, but I finished it, right? I would turn it in, still get a good grade, still get like an A minus on a paper that I literally didn't really even apply myself. I wasn't doing the proper rough drafts, and I procrastinated, ways at the last minute, you know what I mean? I would still get an A, B plus, something like that, right? And the times where I felt more prepared, where I actually took the amount of time needed to write the paper, it always showed. Like, no matter what the subject was, the grade was even stronger, you know what I mean? Because I applied myself. That's the same thing for boxing. You make the fights we want to see, you get the results. Because you look at it, Joshua-Klitschko, I'm pretty sure the people in the UK know about Cody and streaming and Facebook streaming and Periscope, all this stuff, right? But they still support it because it was a good fight. And then on top of that, the fight ended up delivering action and stuff like that. So you can't really ask for anything more. This was a great fight. It did great numbers. A rematch would be welcomed. I don't know if Klitschko wants it. You know what I mean? Joshua said he'll do it, but Klitschko's 41, so he's no longer champion. He got knocked out. Who knows? He probably has to rest up and decide what he wants to do. But this was a great fight to have this many eyes on. Let me continue with the viewership numbers. Now, this fight was also on Showtime. They won the rights to the live broadcast, meaning when it happened in the UK, the Showtime feed was airing at the same time. And the Showtime broadcast, it doubled what Joshua had done previously. The average of the last 3 Showtimes, because Joshua has this multi-fight deal with Showtime, the average of the last 3 of those bouts were about 350,000 that he averaged when he was on Showtime, meaning when he was fighting Eric Molina on Showtime or Dominic Brazil, any of those Showtime fights. But this Joshua-Klitschko fight on Showtime, it pretty much doubled it, and it pulled in 687,000 viewers, average 659,000 viewers, which is the second largest, if I'm not mistaken, for Showtime this year. I think the Broner Granados fight, which I covered live, that I think beat it slightly. I think it was in the 700,000 viewerships, and that was also a free preview weekend, and they streamed the fight live on Showtime on Twitter, Showtime's Twitter. So I don't know how that affected Broner Granados' numbers. I don't know if that was like tabulated into the number that Broner Granados got, but this is good viewership numbers, because this was, even though it's the second highest for a Showtime network boxing this year, it's the #1 highest for that matinee showing. This fight came on extremely early. I'm on the West Coast, West Side is the best side. And this fight came on pretty early. I don't remember the exact time, but I want to say it was like on by 1:30 my time, 1:30 p.m. So just in the afternoon time. So some people have to work and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm fortunate to be in a position where YouTube became my full-time job. I used to work too. I've always had a job since I was like 14 years old, and I've always had a job. But since I've been doing this, I was able to, thankfully, advance to the point where this is my full-time job and I don't have to work another job. And the thing with that is, so I can catch all the fights. You know what I mean? I can travel, I can do all that type of stuff. But a lot of people don't have that. They have livelihoods, mortgages, and jobs that require them banker's hours. Even if you work banker's hours, you would probably be at work when this fight came on Showtime, right? So you got to keep that in mind. Since it was on the UK time, which is for me about 6 hours ahead, it came on extremely early. So to get those types of numbers for matinee showing at that time, that's very good numbers. 687K for the peak and 659. So it's over 650,000 average and almost 700,000 for the peak on Showtime. Now, since Klitschko was an HBO fighter, they also got the rights to this fight, but they just didn't do it live. So they had a rebroadcast, and that averaged 738,000. So it actually had more viewers. So that's not really shocking to me, because HBO has more subscriptions than Showtime. HBO's been bigger in the original programming, so they've always, like, not even just boxing, more homes have HBO. That's a fact, right? They have more subscriptions. So both good numbers, man. I mean, if you add those up, that's well over 1 million, and very good numbers. And the final number is in Germany. The fight was on free TV. It's a network called RTL, right, in Germany, and on free TV. So basically, just think of it as the German PBC. You know what I mean? RTL. It's funny how they both have acronyms. The fight, Klitschko and Joshua fight, did 10.4 million people watch that fight in Germany. Now we know Klitschko built his career in Germany, even fought a ton of people in Germany. The only thing that's a little bit bad is because Klitschko clearly has support in Germany because he's fought there so many times, and he's become a staple. It's like Adonis Stevenson or Jean Pascal or different guys who migrate Lucien Bute to Canada, and that becomes their second home. You know what I mean? You look at Arturo Gatti, if I'm not mistaken, he's from Canada, but he lived in New Jersey, so that became his adopted home. Miguel Cotto from Puerto Rico, but he lived in New York or migrated to New York, so that was his second home. So Klitschko, he's obviously from the Ukraine, but this was his second home in Germany because he's done a lot of business and a lot of fights there. But the only downside would be Klitschko fought Tyson Fury in Germany and he lost, and it was a stinker of a performance. Definitely one of his career worst performances, probably the career that I can think of off the top of my head, worst Klitschko performance. And then having a fight that was viewed by over 10 million people in your second home of Germany, and then you end up getting stopped. I mean, obviously it's still it's not the worst loss. You lost to someone young, strong, and stuff like that, but still, you still lost. You know what I mean? So that's the only downside with the viewership numbers is it got these crazy record-breaking type of numbers in Germany, and he ended up losing. So kind of disappointing for the German fans, if you will, and then losing to Tyson Fury before that. So taking back-to-back losses. But to me, I told you before, when I think of back-to-back losses in the grand scheme of things, Klitschko's loss is not like a Ronda Rousey back-to-back loss. Ronda Rousey, you look at the contrast. Ronda Rousey was billed as the cyborg, this Terminator type female, which no one could beat. Holly Holm shut that up and ended up kicking her upside the damn head and knocking her out, right? In a fight she was dominating. And then she took a long layoff, fought in, I think it was December of 2016, last year, and she came back and got knocked out by a new champion that had her belt, Amanda Nunes, in 48 seconds. And she looked flabbergasted when she started getting hit. I think she got hit with a jab or something. Ronda Rousey just looked completely befuddled and looked out of there. She didn't know what to do. She was just like shell-shocked or whatever. So Klitschko's loss like that, to me, his back-to-back losses is not the same, because he made Anthony Joshua walk through fire to get that win, and he was doing very well for himself. So it wasn't like he got blown out in 48 seconds. There was no Nicolas Cage, as I like to call it, gone in 60 seconds. He really put up a valiant effort and a brilliant game plan and fight. He got caught. That uppercut. And see, to me, I watch boxing at a different level than some people. The fact that Klitschko did not get knocked out totally and got back up after that uppercut, that man is a bona fide legend, and it was vicious. I see people making memes. You notice I didn't repost none of that because I give him credit for that. The fact that he took that from a guy who's over 10 years younger than you, and he just ate it and tried to get back up, man, this dude is a legend. He's a man's man for that. You know what I mean? And that's just straight up. So to me, it wasn't that embarrassing. Even though he got stopped, it wasn't embarrassing. And that's what these fighters got to realize. I don't know if every fan feels like I feel, but losing is losing. It's how you lose. He was gracious in defeat. You know what I mean? He didn't do like Kovalev and he just like making a bunch of Joshua memes and, oh, I was beating you up, beating your ass in the 6th round. He didn't do that. He took it on the chin and says, I'm gonna decide what I gotta do next. But he said the better man won tonight. I respect the hell out of that. You know what I mean? So you don't see me making a bunch of memes about that. And I like to joke and stuff, but I was more impressed by his ability to take the shot. He must have been in phenomenal shape to eat that uppercut and even try to get back up. Most guys, like when I look at what Joshua was doing in that first round, you could say he was a little bit fresher. But when I seen him versus Eric Molina did nothing. He was doing some weird ass like Joe Frazier type of defense, still was getting hit flush, and he looked like Aries Spears versus that Zoe dude on the Corey Holcomb show, and he was getting bombed on. That was, out of all what Eric Molina said, that was a bad way to go out. Before the fight, he sounded very confident. I thought he buckled Deontay Wilder. Maybe he can challenge, even though he's not the favorite. Maybe he can challenge Joshua. But he went out, like I said, like Aries Spears, and just tucked up and started trying to, like he was getting jumped by 3 Joshuas. Klitschko didn't do that. He brought the fight to Joshua. It's not a bad loss, and this is not a loss for boxing because these are all great numbers. Everything from the Skysports to the Showtime to the HBO to the RTL German network, right? Point blank, period. Those are the numbers. Let me know your thoughts. Complete breakdown. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.